How's it going, YouTube? Right, we're back on the camper again. We can actually start doing some interesting stuff now. Right, in the last video we did the floor and the roof, so now we're actually getting to a point where we can start doing something with these walls. Right, so what I'm going to do is the whole style of this camper, I want as little carpet as possible. I am going to have some carpet in it for one reason or another, just because it's a little bit easier to trim out, especially around these edges, look. Right, some of these edges here is easier to do in carpet, but what I'm going to do is, if we have a look at this one, you can see where this black cover is over the lights here. I'm going to cover that in some leatherette stuff, so that can go back on, because we need access to the back of the lights. But these bits in between, they're going to be carpet. This is going to be carpet straight over all this lot. On the sides, I don't really want carpet, but saying that, what I am going to do is where this level is here, this is where the bed's going to sit, so anything below that level is going to be the garage. But what I'm going to do is all that area there, I want all that carpeting, including this wheel arch here. All that'll be boxed in with like the electrics and stuff like that on both sides. But what I want to do is I want to at least make it look finished, so when you're going behind the box to go into the wiring and things like that, at least you can see it's carpeted and it does actually look finished, even though we won't see any of that. So from the floor to this sort of height where the bed will be, this is going to be carpeted there. I'm going to get a board, I'm going to cut a board out, put it over this wall here just to make that nice and flat, and then I'm going to carpet all that up. I'm going to do that board in 5mm plywood, so it's not very heavy. Up here, what I've mentioned in a few videos is this is a little recessed bit, as you can see, because this is the 50mm insulation. This one's a 25, because between this bit of board over here and this bit of board over here, we need 192 centimetres, I think it is, the standard length for a double bed. So that's what we're going for. We're also going for a normal standard double bed on the width, so I need 135 centimetres width-ways as well, so 135 width and 192 length. You'll notice there's a bit of wood already up there, we'll talk about that in a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 5mm ply on there, then I'm going to cover it with something. That's going to be the recessed panel, and then what we're going to do is I'm going to have a panel that comes out further. That's going to go all the way around to make like a little recessed bit, and then behind that panel we're going to have some nice lighting that's going to light it all up all the way around from behind. Hopefully I'm going to get that done in this video here. I'd like to get at least one of these walls done so you can see kind of the material stroke colour scheme that we're going to have in the camper. Up this top here, I'm not going to worry about it too much at the minute, because we're going to have cupboards that are coming out and they're going to go up there, and on the inside of the cupboards I'm going to have some covered plywood panels inside, because I want access to all this sort of thing. I'm going to fill these with insulation later at some point. That's why I've not been too bothered about the ceiling, because the inside of the cupboards are going to be separately lined, and those panels are going to be stuck in with some heavy duty velcro or something like that. So we can pull those out and get to all the wiring quite easy behind if we need to. And it's a really good way to finish the inside of your cupboards. And that's going to be both sides. They're going to be cupboards that side and cupboards that side. So let's talk about this bit of wood. This bit of wood here, it's not fixed on properly yet. I've just put it on with a few screws just for now. But this is where the brackets are going to fit for the Scorva bed. I've got the IKEA Scorva bed frame, the same as everybody else does, with the little Scorva mid beams going across, and then it'll have the slats. We'll have a look at that when we go to fit the bed properly. What they come with, or how they fit on there, is you get these brackets here. What a lot of people do with these brackets is when you're fitting them on, they're supposed to fit kind of that way round, but obviously this makes it lower, and I want the mattress to go straight across into this bit here. So what a lot of people do is they fit them upside down, but I'm not going to do that. I've got some that I've modified. So these ones here are ones that I've modified. I've taken them and I've bent them. So what it'll do is it'll fit over the top like that. It'll screw down from the top, and then this brings this bit up higher. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to fix this on properly soon. I'm going to cut out some plywood. The plywood's going to fit on top, 12mm board, and then that'll create a nice flat bit going in there. and then these will fit on top of that plywood, and then this will be the bed. So what I'm going to do is, from this back wall here, I'm going to carpet it round, and then it's going to be carpeted all the way down to the floor down there. And then that'll be a nice little carpeted bit for the bed frame that's underneath the mattress. So if you ever lift the mattress up, at least it looks finished under there. What I've also done with this is we need it 135 centimetres wide. But what I want is to get a nice size bathroom across here. We need that bed as far back as possible. Because we don't want to waste any space. Most people end the bed here with their last bracket being about there, and then what they do is they put a board right across there in front of the garage, and that's where the bed fits. I want an extra few centimetres out of it. So what I've done is I've fitted another piece of wood over the top of that one to take it this way a bit more, and then this final bracket will go there, and that gives me there about another 60 or 70 mil. And as anybody knows, a few extra centimetres always makes a big difference. So I'm trying to squeeze out as much area as I can out of this bed and push it back as far as I can. Which means what I'm going to do is, on this bit here, I'm going to have to cut it off down there. So this will be cut off and it'll fit down to there, that flat point there. And then what I'll do is I'll cut the bottom bit as well, so I can put the bottom bit back on here, so I've still got access to this hole, and then everywhere else down here is going to be carpeted straight over. And then all the way around the top, all the way around there, that's all going to be carpeted. But that's literally about the only bit of carpet I want. The back doors, when I eventually get to those, I'm just going to cut a great big piece of plywood out that covers the whole lot, and then I'm going to cut a hole out for this bit, and we're going to cover that with some leatherette stuff, which I've got. We'll have a look at later when we come to fit all this stuff. And then I'm going to make a little recessed panel in there and that sort of thing. We'll look at that when we get to do it. But the job I need to do right now, I need to get another piece of wood, the same as this, put it on this side. I need to fasten them both on properly. Then I need to get the bed frame brackets, and I need to make sure that is in the right place and all the measurements are right to make sure all the bed's good. Once I've done that, I'm going to put a bit of 2B1 straight up, my finger's not in the right place, straight up there, which is going to mark where the wall is for the beginning of the bathroom. And then that'll give me a proper mark for this back area. And the same over here. So let's get a bit of a time lapse going, and let's check back when we're a bit more complete in this area with some more wooden stuff fitted, and then we can have another check of where we are and what we're doing. Right, so we've got a bit done on one side. Let's have a look, shall we? Right, so as you can see on this side, I've got the wood in. What I did was I've put another bit of wood underneath this end just to give it this strength, and then made a bit of ply to cover all over that. And then what I've done is I've carpeted all this bit here. I mean, all this, none of it you're going to see it anyway, because this is all going to be behind a box. This is the only bit you would ever see if you lift up the mattress. So what it'll be is these are going to screw down on there like that. Oops. Try again. These are going to screw down on there like that. And then the bed scover mid-beams will clip into there and go across the bed. What I've also done here is I've got a bit of 2x1 that goes all the way up to the roof, and that is marking out the wall that's going to have all the plumbing and the electrics inside it. What I've done here is, you can see here there's a gap. That's purposely left for 15mm, because what I'm going to have is running all the way across there. I'm going to have a 15mm board to separate the garage from the living bit, and then that's going to have a door, and it's going to have a little shape at the top and all that sort of stuff. So I've left that 15mm there, and then that's going to finish just above the bed there, and then just this bit here is going to be like a panel that I can take off to get to any wiring or anything or plumbing that's inside that wall. We'll worry about that later. Right, so these brackets I'm not going to fasten on just yet. This plastic cover, I've cut that down so I can put that back on later. What I'm going to do is I'm going to carry on carpeting it just up these bits here, up this side, just to trim that bit out. There's literally going to be a little sliver that you're going to actually see that's carpet when all this is finished. Next thing we need to do is I need to cut a 5mm piece of ply out, which I actually have. It's on the bench over there. And then we need to do this little bit of a backboard feature there. So let's go down to the bench and have a look. What we've got here is a 5mm piece of plywood there. That's cut out to fit in that bit. And what we've got is we've got something a little bit posh to cover this with for our feature. So let's have a look, see what we've got. Right, so what I've got in here is a bit of a one-off, custom-made wall mural. Can't even say the word. This is like a hard-wearing wall covering. I've got it from this company here, Nickel Art. I think they're in Belgium. This is custom-made. I've had two made. This is like a bit of a topography pattern, and this is a really hard wearing white clean surface, and it's a sticky back. So what I'm going to do is we're going to get this, one of them, and we're going to stick it onto this plywood here, and then this is going to be our back feature to go on this back wall for the headboard and the footboard. And then what that's going to have is some backlighting that's going to come out and light this all up. So let's get this stuck down, shall we? Obviously really taking my time with this because this was expensive. Right, there we are. That's that all covered. What I need to do now is get this stuck on. So I'm going to get some of that sticks like shit stuff, and I'm going to put it behind there, and I'll prop it out and get it stuck on. So I'll leave that overnight to stick. Right, I've actually got a little bit carried away and I've done quite a few little bits. What I've done though is the passenger side, I've put that back to where we were, so we can continue on with that and I can show you how I've done what I've done. So let's have a look what I've done. Right, there's the passenger side. That's where we was at. We'd carpeted the bottom, we'd carpeted this bit here. I've fixed these brackets on. These are for the bed brackets. We've got that bit now that's stuck to the wall. I've carpeted up here. The reason I've done that is because these are going to be the back of the cupboards inside, so you won't actually see that once the cupboards have done. Throughout this van there's quite a bit of carpet, just like that bit down there, but most of it you're not going to be able to see. I've carpeted this back corner as well, but most of this you won't actually be able to see it. It's going to be covered up here. From here is going to be a top cupboard, so you won't actually see any of that anyway. So I've just put the carpet on just to tidy up things behind things, if you know what I mean. But that's where we should be. But if I have a look at the other side, let's have a look and see what we've done. Right, there's the other side all done. So what I've done is, obviously we've got the backlight, you can see there. We've got this faux leather hexagon stitched panel on there that I've made. On this back corner there, you can see we've covered the original light cover with that same leather there. Up the top, we've got the carpet, and I've also done one of the back doors as well. We're going to do the other one in a minute, so I can show you how I've done that one. But what I've done there is, you can see we've got a back panel, like this one, but it's just a plain blue. This is the same colour as what we're going to use on the cupboards, and I've fitted that behind. So it continues on with the same sort of theme as this, where it's got a recessed panel. This one here has obviously not got any lights on it, but I'm trying to keep the same theme throughout the vehicle. So we've got the leather panel there, recessed panel for the window. I've fitted the frame, as you can see there. These have got the fly screen and the blind. I open that back up. They're a really nice window actually. And then what I've done up the top is I've carpeted behind the whole lot. And then what I've done is I've fitted this panel here. This is backlit as well, as you can see. What we'll do is we'll have a look how to do that backlighting in a minute when we do that one. I've fitted this up just for now, just to get a bit of light inside the vehicle. This is a sample of the ceiling that we're going to have. Oh, I've kicked the wires off the lights. I've got a little temporary battery set up here. So if I plug this in here, that gives us some electric on the vehicles. I've got a load of wiring in there. We will talk about the wiring in another video of how I've done that and how I'm wiring the vehicle up, because I'm doing some fancy two-way lighting for the lights. Right, this panel up here, we'll have a look how to make these when I come to do the furniture videos, but this is basically 12mm ply with a wrap on top, and then we've got a little edging strip on it there. But when we come to do the furniture, we're going to look greater into detail into that, because doing it this way actually works out lighter than the lightweight furniture panel. Before we see how to do this, I've done a little bit more over here. As you can see, I've done this front window as well. Let me just turn the lights on. Right, there you are. We've got the same lights in there. Little recessed panel with the lighting in. This is, again, the plain blue that's going on the furniture panels. That's on a recessed panel behind. I've tried to make it as hidden as possible, so no matter what angle you sit at, you can't actually see the light itself. You can just see the light that it's emitting. That's done the same. We've got the leather panel there. We've got the carpet at the top, which is going to be the back of the top cupboards. I've done like a big panel there of carpet. The reason why is because this is going to have the seating made up around that. We're going to have a bench seat along there, but I'm going to do it in like an L shape around here, so it's like a little corner sofa. Because I've decided I want it so I can have my legs straight out when I'm sat in this area, make it a bit more of a relaxing area. This bit of wood here, this denotes the end of the living area. So what we've got there is from that bit there to that bit there. This is the bathroom. That is just slightly less than 1 metre, so it's going to be a decent sized shower and toilet area. Same again up the top. I've got a max shade cover for this. I've just stuck it up here for now. I can take that down later. I just wanted some light. But this looks better, a lot better than the original fan one, which was just like a plain square one. This kind of now matches that one down there. What this has got on it is it's got like a blind that clips in there and then closes it up. I probably won't even use that blind, to be honest, but it's there. I just wanted it to aesthetically match in with these lights and things like that. In this little pocket at the front, right at the back, I don't know if you can see it properly because it's quite dark, but what I've done is where that insulation was, I've carpeted all that all the way along. because the roofing is going to go straight across to the back. I'm going to put some sides up here, and then this is going to be a nice storage area. I'm going to have a nice fascia on there just to finish that off nicely. But this is going to be a storage area for large things like jackets and things like that. And that's largely brought everybody up to date of where we are now. So as I said, I got a bit carried away. But what I've purposely done is left this side here, left that back door, because what I want to do is show you how I've done this backlighting, how we've made the cover, this one to go over the top, and then how I did the rear door. And then what you can do is the theory behind all that, you can transpose that around the whole vehicle, because I'm going to do something pretty similar on this door as well. But I'm going to make this out of 2 panels, just in case I need to get in this bottom area. This bit's going to be left like that, because this is the beginning of the kitchen area. I've not quite decided what I'm going to do there yet, so we'll worry about all that later. I've bought all the flooring now, but that's for the next video as well. So let's get on with this and let's see how I've done this lighting. The first thing we need to do is we need to make a batten frame around the inside of there, something to fix the LED lighting to. And then whilst we're in the garage making that, well, let's have a look at the lighting and see what I've got. So down under here, I've got some lengths of 12mm by 32mm wood, which I've been using to frame the lights, because this is about the same width as the lighting. The lighting I've been using is this 12-volt cob lighting, LED lighting from Amazon. The reason I've got this one, it uses a little bit more power, but it's more of a continuous stream of light rather than individual LEDs quite spread out. So as you can see inside, it's like a nice continuous colour rather than spots of LEDs. But you do have the cost of some power to run that. This runs at about 9 watts per metre, which is quite high to be honest, but it looks nice. I've picked this one for this backlighting in 2700K, so it's quite a yellow lighting, which is exactly what I wanted. I didn't want it to be too white, not for this, because this is like a backlighting just to relax in at night. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut up a frame. I've got some matte black spray up there, so then I can spray this wood black just to make it less noticeable. And then what I'll do is once the frame's in, if I get the LED strip, and I'll stick it round the edge of the frame like that all the way on the inside. So let's get that frame on now, and let's check back and see where we were and see what we've done. Right, there's the wood in round the edge, and I've even fitted the LED lighting, and I've powered it on just so you can see how it looks. It's a lot better than the individual lights, isn't it? This cob lighting is definitely worth the extra power. But you can see there in the corners, I didn't take it around too tight. So it's a nice bit of a curve in both corners. It doesn't matter because you won't be able to see it. What we need is a decent bit of overlap on this top panel, so no matter what angle you stand at, you can't see right back to where the light is. If we have a look at the other side, if I get right into this board, then you can see the light itself. But under normal, with my head and everything else, you can't really get that far back. So what we need to do now is we need to make this plywood here. This is literally just 5.5mm ply, and then it's covered with this leather. So that's the next job. So what I need to do is I need to get a rectangular piece of plywood from there to there, from there to there, cut that out, get it to fit, and then what we need to do is we need to cut this opening into it To make it the same size as that, I've literally got the bit I've cut out of that one there. But all I did was I just did some rough measurements, did some straight lines, and then I found something round just to draw around that corner. But I think down there in that pile of offcuts, we've got this one that I've cut out, so we'll draw around that one. So let's get a bit of plywood made that'll fit over in this bit here. Right, there's that fits in there perfect. This bit I've got down here, this is the cutout from this one. So if I hold it up there, that's the bit that I cut out of there. So what I need to do is I'll measure from this edge to this edge, and then what I'll do is I'll mark from there to there the same, and then I'll draw around that bit that I cut out to be my next cutout. So let's get that cut out. Right, there we are, that's all in. This corner just needs pushing back, but you can see that's how it's going to look. We just need to get this covered with a leather now. So right, let's get it on the bench and let's get this covered with a leather, and we'll see how we do that. Right, so there's our roll over there. I can't remember what I bought, like a 15-meter roll or something like that. It was quite a decent amount. Hopefully it's enough to do what I need to do in the camper. So the first thing I need to do is pull a length out over the bench there. Right, so with our leather pulled out, what we need to do now is get our bit of plywood and let's just put it on there in place. It doesn't matter too much on this one because they're the same sort of size either side, so it doesn't matter which way around we get it. But when you're doing this, make sure you've got the outside face at the outside and the inside face at the inside, and you're not fitting the leather to the wrong side of it. I did do that on one of the other panels. As this is a hexagon stitch, what we need to do is make sure that when we're doing it, it's not twisted or anything like that. It wants to be nice and straight, so the hexagon pattern is going straight along the top of the panel. So the first thing I do is I line it up with the hexagon panel, get it all lined up and in place and exactly where I want it to be first. Then what I do is with some of this contact adhesive spray, I'll tilt it up, being careful not to move it off of the square because I want it to be nice and straight along this pattern. Then I'll put a nice layer across the leather itself or where it's going to stick, roughly. And then also I'll put another layer on the wood as well. Trying to avoid my fingers while I do it. Everything sticks to this stuff. I'll try and do it with the cam the right way up as well. You have to be careful with this stuff because it does get everywhere. Right, once that's sprayed on both sides, I'll leave it for 30 seconds. After 30 seconds, then what I'll do is I'll tilt it down slowly, making sure that we're not losing the square, so it's nice and straight with the pattern. I'll bring you in a bit closer so you can see. As you can see now, it's stuck down and it's nice and straight and level all the way across against the pattern. Next thing I do is I'll give it a little bit of spray just across both of these edges. And then I'll take my Stanley knife and I'm going to cut it out so it's about 50mm or an inch away from the wood, and I'm going to do that all the way around. Let's stick you over here so you can see. I won't worry too much about these outside edges, it's more of the inside. Now what I can do is I can pull this away and see where we are. Around this outside edge here, what I'll do is I'll just stick this over now. Keep it nice and tight. Not worry about the corners too much just yet. Just trim a bit of this off so I can get the other side down. So right, what next? Over here, I've got a Stanley staple gun, and I've got some 6mm Stanley staples. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the staple gun and I'm going to staple it all along this edge. I'll leave the corner for now, all along this edge. Right, these curves, what I do is I cut it and I do it so it's about 20mm away from this edge, and I'll cut it so it's like a star shape, I suppose. So I'm cutting into it little triangles, you see, like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this over and I'm going to staple that down, and then I'm going to go one at a time, pulling these fingers tight and stapling those down, and then that'll bring it round the corner nicely. So if I set you up over here, let's have a look. Right, so hopefully you can see that. So if I get this first straight edge there, we'll put a couple of staples in just to get it hold, and then we'll go a finger at a time, pulling it nice and tight as we do. I'll put some more staples in a minute. I just want to get it started. So there we are, that's all the way around the corner. So now to give it a good hold, I'll just put a few more staples in, and I want to staple these fingers down right at the end so they don't go anywhere. And then that's how we do corners. If I show you the other side, there we are. There, it's nice and tight round that corner now. Right, these corners here, I kind of make it up as I go along a bit. I'll cut this out, and then I cut it back a bit, and then I cut back the other side, and I leave it so there's a corner bit, and then I pull that tight, and then I staple it over there. So let's do this one. I don't know if this is right or wrong, but this is how I do it. So what I do is I'll cut that bit there. I'll do this edge here. I'll staple down the full straight in a minute. I just want to show you the corners. And the same again. I'm trying to get as less material as I can on this corner. So what I do with this little bit here is I'll pull it nice and tight, and then I'll put a couple of staples in this corner. And then this excess here, I'll cut it off. And then I'll put a few more staples in this, just to keep it nice and flat. Just like that. It keeps it tight on the corners. I don't know if that's the right way of doing it, but that's the way I do it. Those curves, I know that's the right way of doing that. So what I'm going to do now is do all the way around and finish off the rest of this. So let's get it all done, shall we? Right, so there we have it. That's all nicely covered now. As you can see, that's all done. So what we need to do now is fit it in the back of the van and screw it in. What I've done on the other side is right near the top, look, I've got a couple of screws. Where's the other one? There it is. So there's a couple of screws at the top holding it in, because that will have a bit of wood going across there eventually, because that will be the bottom of the cupboards that will go out and up here. So all this you'll not see, and then the bottom of the cupboards will just overlap like that. At the back, halfway down, because it bends, I put a screw in it there with a little black cap. So if I ever have to take this panel off for any reason, all I literally have to do is undo that one screw there, and then I should be able to just pull it away a little bit, so if there's anything wrong with these LEDs, should be able to get to them. Hence, on this side, what you can see here is with this wiring, I've left a little loop of wire in there, so if I ever do need to get to it to change these LEDs or anything like that, always leave yourself enough wiring, so where the connections are, you can pull them out and you'll have enough wire left to put new connections and things like that. Don't pull your connections tight or your wires tight, because you need to think of the future if anything goes wrong. That's all fastened in now. So now we've got the two matching sides, which is going to be the headboard and the footboard for the bed. The bed rails are going to go straight across there, which we'll have a look at another time. But now we've got two matching sides. The next thing we need to do is this cover here. We're going to take the original plastic cover that went over all these lights. I'll cut it down so it's at that sort of height, because the bottom I've carpeted anyway. So we'll cut that down, and then we'll use a bit of offcut of this leather out of this hole here, and then we'll use some spray glue on there, and we'll cover it up and then screw it back on the same as that one. Right, there we are. That's that on. That's the two sides now matching. The next thing we need to do is we need to do this back door. What I did on the last one is this curved bit here all the way around. I literally just put a little strip of carpet all the way around. The main reason is because if you get really close in there, you can see in the gap. I don't know if you can see that properly, but we've got a bit of carpet in there just covering up that gap. So you can't see any metal or anything else. It's literally right inside. So that's the first thing I'm going to do on this one. We'll put a little bit of strip of carpet around this first, and then we've got to make the board to go over it. We'll make that out of 5mm ply, and then I'll cover it in the blue vinyl wrap. And then that one I don't have to stick it on, because this blind that fits over here screws to the door frame, and that holds it all on. It feels like a long video, this one, but it's some important things to show you. We're showing you how to cover the panels with leather, we're showing you how to do the backlighting, and then that can be transposed across everything else that's through the camper. So let's get this back door done, and then we'll call this video a day. Right, I've just got to a point I wanted to show you. Right, if we have a look at this window, as you can see, I've just roughly put some carpet around it, because the only bits we need to cover up are literally these little curved bits here. So that's why I've done that. I know it looks a bit rough, but you won't be able to see it. I've cut a square out there, which we're going to cover blue. That's to go over that window. But what I've done is, for these little corners here, is I've got a bit of cardboard, look, and I've cut it out so it fits in the corners, and that's the same in all four corners. So what I'll do now with this square is, if I hold that on there, then I can mark each corner, I can cut them off with a jigsaw. So I just wanted to show you that quickly before I continue. Right, that's that cut out and covered up with that blue vinyl stuff. I've not bothered too much with these corners. You can see there, look, I've made it up out of 4 pieces rather than one big piece, just so I'm not wasting it. Mainly because in the corners, you can't actually see it, look. So what I need to do now is I need to get the window blind, and we need to screw that on. Right, with these particular ones, if I just take it out of the packet, what you get in it is a pack of self-drilling screws. You see these little tags here. If I grab both of these and pull, that allows me to take off this cover. So if I take off all 4 of those, right, down in these gaps here, there you'll see there's some holes there. There's 2 on each side. So what I need to do is take those self-drilling screws and screw this up, get it centralized in that frame over there, hold the blue covered bit up as well, get everything balanced and centralized, then screw it all back. Right, that's that on, that's all ready now. As you can see, we've got the blind and we've got the fly screen. Next job we need to do is we need to make this big panel here. What I did find though, and when I did this door, is the sides up and down and the top and the bottom are pretty square. So all I have to do is measure from this point here across to this point here to get the width, and then the same on the bottom. I'll bring it up a little bit from the bottom and I'll do it up to the top. And then what I did on the last one was I got it so it fitted on there. I screwed it to the door and then I literally closed it onto the wood, and then I could draw around this edge here just to make sure everything fits all perfect. And then all it does is just scribes in this little bit here, so when it closes it's a really nice tight fit up to the rubber. But generally it's pretty square, to be honest. There was just a few little bits here and there that I just had to scribe in. So let's do that. I'll get a bit of wood cut out and we'll screw it on the door, and I'll show you what I did just to scribe it in around these edges. Now what I might have to do is take this one off so I can draw around this hole here, because I literally on this one I made it up, but I want to have them both the same. So if I take this one off and then I can draw around that bit there, I've not got the bit I cut out because I did a bit and then cut a bit more out, so it's not one big whole piece. So I need to use this one as a template, so I need to take this one off and then I can cut the hole out, and I might have to do that first actually, because as you can see these blinds stick out further than the panel. So if I cut a rectangle panel out to fit the whole door, then I need to get this hole cut in here, and then I can get it screwed to the door. The only bit that I didn't like on this one that I did was this top bit here. I cut it too far back. So I think eventually what I might have to do is make another little bit that's covered that I can screw over the top of that one to cover it up and make it look a bit tidier, because I don't really like that. Actually, new plan, I can't be bothered to take all that off. I've got a bit of cardboard, and what I did is I just stuffed it behind like that and then drew around the curve, and then that gave me that, which is the profile of this curve. So what I can do is once I cut this out, I can measure from there to get that measurement, then I'll measure from there to the bottom to get that measurement. I'll draw the rectangle, and then I'll use this template to put the curves in. So I'm going to do that instead of taking this off, just because I'm lazy. Right, I've just been marking this out, marking this hole, and I thought I'd double check some measurements, and I've just realised I've cocked up. This door here and this door here aren't the same width. This one's bigger. This door here to this edge there is 760mm wide, whereas this door here right across is 800mm wide. So I need to buy some more wood, because that's my last 5mm wood. None of these bits of offcut here are big enough to do that. So always measure before you cut, unlike this, what I've done. Right, that bit from the back door didn't go to waste. I've used it and I've made a bit of a cover for this bit. I'm doing this in two halves because if I want to take this bottom bit off, because I've got something wrong with the mechanism in the door, it makes it a bit easier. So what I'll do is I'll do the top half and I'll take it up to that. So I did want to do that anyway, do it in two halves. So that at least means I've done that bit now anyway. So that's a bit more done. I've been thinking about this back door as well. I think before I cut the next one, you can see this gap in the door here. This is a bit of a drafty gap, this. So I think what I'm going to do is when I cut it, I'm going to make it so it either comes up to this or slightly overlaps it. Because this door here, this one opens first. So if this one overlaps, when I close this one, this will close up to it, and then it should stop any drafts coming through this area here. So I think that's definitely what I'm going to do. I'm literally going to measure it from there right across, just so it overlaps a tiny little bit, and then that should stop any drafts coming in there as well. But on the inside it'll overlap out here a little bit, so I've got to make sure I wrap it right round and back in again long enough so it covers it all up. And I'll see what this is like with a bit sticking out here. Hopefully it'll still be nice and strong. So we'll have a look anyway and see. Right, here we are back. We've got a load more wood. I've got a load of unistrut as well to make the roof rack, but I'm assuming that video will have already been done and out before this one. But what I've done is I've cut out this board. I've literally cut it to width. I've made it overhang like I said I was going to. I'll show you in a minute. I've cut out the window there. What I've done is I literally measured this one from the top down to that bit and from this side down to that bit, and then measured across the gaps. And then I've put that one in the same place, and that's worked out right. So if I close this door What we can see now is this one is going to overlap that literally by about 2 millimeters, and that'll be perfectly fine. It's tight up at the top. I've started to cut this bit out, but I needed to cut it out a bit more. What I wanted to do was make it so it's the same height and the same sort of angle as this one. I need to move this back because I didn't account for this overlapping bit. So I'll move that back in a minute. And then what I'm going to do, because I've cut this out too much and I don't really like it, I'm going to make some little bits over there that's recovered, and then I'll screw them over the top. I made one for here and one for here, and then that'll cover that up a bit better than what it is now. Up in this corner, I've just trapped the board in there and jammed the door shut. So what I'll do is I'll get my pencil in a minute and I'll scribe it around that corner just so I can cut out that corner and get it to fit. You can see this is tight up here. And whilst I'm here, I'm going to mark out a few bits on the bottom. You see how that bit there's cut out? I'm going to mark that one where it is so I can cut that one out. One thing I did forget is on this door, about here in this circle, there's a bit you can press to make the doors fully open. So what I need to do is I need to mark that one on this side, and then I need to take that one off, and I need to get that in. And what I'm going to do is I'm just literally going to do a circle, and I'll fold it back behind, and then that'll let me press that button so I can get the doors all the way round. I did think about leaving it, but then I realised that if you do back up to a nice view and you're laid in bed and you want to open the doors right up so you can see out and get a nice panoramic view of like a seaside or something, then you do need those doors being able to swing all the way around. So I will put those little circles in there. I'll do those in a minute. Right, so what I need to do now is I literally need to mark where a few of these bits are, like this handle there and a few other bits. And then what I can do is I can cut those out on the bench. That'll fit nice. And then I can get that covered up with a lever and get that screwed on as well. So let's get that done. Right, that's all fitting nice. I've even got a hole cut out for that little button, look. Bottoms cut out, handles cut out. Let's just close this door. That's how all that bit lines up. As you can see, it's just slightly overlapping, so it should get rid of any draft up in this top half where the bed is. Right, so the next thing I need to do now is I'm going to take that off and I'm going to cover it with the lever, staple it around. I've just got to be careful on the back because this much is overlapping. So I've got to make sure it goes round far enough to cover all this as well, and it's stapled on the inside of there, so I'll mark that with a pencil. So I'm going to get that covered up. Let's get it back on and see what it looks like when it's done. Right, there's that covered. I've even done like a little star around where this hole goes. As long as you're doing your little fingers and you're pulling them out, you can get round corners quite well. So there we are, that's that all installed. That hole kind of lines up okay, so that can open up all the way now. I think round the back looks okay as well. If we look round the back there, that's finished up okay. That looks quite good. I've even taken this one off, look, and I've put that hole in. That wasn't the easiest thing, drilling the wood out without coming through this lever. So I've got that in there as well now. So if I go inside and shut the doors, let's see how it looks. Right, there we are, that's all this back end done. We can see now this overlaps just slightly. Down here for some reason it doesn't quite overlap and it's catching when I open the door, so I'll figure something out for that later. Like I said, what I will do is make some little cover bits to go over here and cover those in the lever as well, just to tidy that up because I don't like how that's really turned out. So I'll sort that out later. Off video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish that top bit. We don't need to go through that again because we've already seen how to do it a load of times already now. But I'm going to do it the same as this, without the lights obviously. But it's going to be a blue surround like that, and then this lever around it. So right, what we need to start doing now is I've got this ceiling coming in the next few days. I've already got the floor here now. So in the next video, what we need to do is we need to sort this floor out. We need to get the flooring down so I can get the walls in for this bathroom. We need to get this first a bit of the bed in permanently, and then put a bulkhead across there. And then once I've got all the walls in for the shower, then I can mark out where the top boxes are going, because we're going to do the ceiling. I've got a good idea with that as well. Well, it's good in my mind. Whether it actually turns out good, we don't know. We'll find out. It's probably been a bit of a long video, this one. It's in between everything else. It's probably took me about 4 weeks to make it. So like the video if you like it. Comment below anything you want to say, anything you want to ask. Let me know what you think of this design. Obviously the carpet, don't worry about it too much because you won't actually see it. 99% of it's going to be covered up by the time we're done. And I do like reading your comments anyway. So subscribe if you want to see some more of this build and see how it turns out. And I'll catch you again in another video. Cheers.